In this video, I'm going to take you inside the mind of a narcissist and honestly break down how they often see and feel about their wife or partner. Now, obviously, I am not a narcissist, but if I was, this is exactly how I would think, if you know what I mean. And I think hearing this bluntly might help some of you finally get the closure that you probably never got from them. And I also just want to quickly say, because I know comments will start flying in, but I know this, I know narcissists can be men or women. However, around 80% of you guys watching my videos are female. So for this example, I'm going to explain it as a husband thinking and talking about his wife. Now, if I was a narcissist, my wife would not feel like a partner to me. No, she wouldn't be an equal. She would feel more like a source. So my wife would be a source of attention, comfort. She would be a source of validation, stability, routine. And honestly, the second she stopped giving me those things consistently, I would start treating her very, very, very differently. Not because I was heartbroken or sad, not because I was struggling emotionally. No. Because in my head, her value to me would feel like it had dropped. That is why narcissists can go from obsessed with you to cold with you unbelievably quickly. Because what they feel is not a healthy attachment. What they're feeling and what they're looking for in a partner is benefit. And if I was a narcissist, I would not really care about fairness in the relationship either. It wouldn't mean anything to me. If my wife was exhausted looking after the kids all day, while I just sat and went on my phone, in my head, I would still feel and think my stress mattered far more than hers. If she cried because she felt lonely, I would probably find it irritating more than I'd find it upsetting. Because emotional conversations would feel like pressure to me, not like connection, not like we're working through something. And honestly, this is where so many people get very, very, very confused. Because narcissists can say loving things to you. Obviously, they've trained themselves in this. They can obviously buy you gifts. They can cuddle you. They can say, I love you, or I love you too. But underneath it all, the relationship is still centered around one thing. And that is them. It's how they feel, what they want, what they need. And if I was a narcissist, appearances would matter massively to me. I would want my wife to look good in public because it reflects well on me. I would want people to think we had the perfect relationship. I would want them to think that I was the perfect husband. But behind closed doors, realistically, I might barely speak to her properly. I definitely wouldn't invest in emotional, long conversations. I might totally ignore her emotionally for weeks. I might flirt with other women online and then act like she's crazy for getting upset if she finds out about it. That's how I feel because I only care about me. And the scary part is I probably would not even care that much about her finding out about the flirting itself. I would care about the disruption it caused when I got caught and the arguments. That is the part many victims struggle to understand. A narcissist often does not think, how will this hurt my partner? They're not thinking empathetically about them. They think, how will this affect me? And that is all they care about. That is why the apologies can feel very, very empty. Because the apology is often about damage control. The apology is not about empathy or actual forgiveness. And if I was a narcissist, I would probably also use money as a control. Now this is called financial abuse. Not always openly. Sometimes I do it very subtly. Maybe I do it by making my wife feel guilty every time she spends money, even on little things. Maybe reminding her that I pay for everything. My work pays the bills. Maybe making sure she slowly loses confidence in her ability to survive without me, leaving her feeling trapped. Because the more dependent she becomes, the safer I feel. And honestly, one of the darkest parts about a narcissistic relationship is this. If I were a narcissist, I would probably enjoy being needed more than I ever enjoyed being loved. Because being needed gives me the control and the power. Because there's a very, very large difference, because love requires vulnerability, accountability, and love requires empathy. And those are things narcissists often deeply, deeply struggle with. By the way, if you're new here, just quickly, my name's Brandon. I have over 1 million people follow my daily insights across all social media platforms. If you're finding this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you liked the video, just press like, and let me know what you found helpful in the comments, because I love reading the comments and replying to you guys. And consider subscribing, because I make new videos every single week. Now here is the part that really hurts for most people listening to this. So brace yourself. If I were a narcissist, I would probably know my wife is hurting. Yep. I would notice the anxiety. I'd notice the exhaustion, the overthinking, the walking on eggshells. But instead of sitting there and thinking, how do I make her feel emotionally safe? That's not what I'd do. I would think, how do I stop this becoming an annoyance for me? And that is why so many victims slowly start to lose themselves, because they keep expecting empathy from somebody who mainly experiences relationships through only their self-interest. Yeah? And honestly, I think one of the hardest things for victims is to accept this. The relationship often felt deeper to you than it ever did at any moment to them, because you were loving them from empathy, attachment, and from the search of an emotional connection, while they were often loving you through simple comfort, what you did for them, validation, convenience, and a place of control. The reason I think videos like this matter is because some of you are still probably sat there blaming yourselves, still wondering why you were never enough, still wondering what changed, or what could you have done to change things, still wondering why they could hurt you and then roll over and sleep fine at night. And sometimes the closure is understanding that you were expecting emotional depth from somebody emotionally disconnected from even themselves. Now, if this video helped, I'm going to put another video on the screen right now that I think you'll find super helpful.